Some interesting news about PlayStation came out. Sony PlayStation, as far as some canceled live service games from two studios that are subsidiaries are owned by them, and we found out what they've been working on technically all this time, and now it's concerning as far as like, okay, what are their next projects going to be? Do they have maybe other projects going on in the works while they're working on these live service projects? And it's just wild, man. Like Sony, like what the hell are you doing? What, WTF? Like what the? It's just mind-boggling. And after, like, I initially heard about this and read about it and things like that, and I gotta agree with some people's assessments about mismanagement, because this definitely comes off as mismanagement. So Jason Schreier, definitely a credible person in the industry. Breaking news. This is breaking news. So this came out recently. PlayStation has canceled 2 more live service games from subsidiaries Bend and Bluepoint. Bloomberg has learned. Fans have long wondered what Bluepoint has been working on for the last couple of years. I can report it's a live service God of War game. Now, just to give you guys information, give you perspective, the last thing Bluepoint released was Demon's Souls Remake, right? That came out in 2020. It was a PS5 launch title, right? And so for almost 5 years, they've been working, or at least we're working on, a live service God of War game. Sony, under Jim Ryan, before he left, was trying to do this whole like live service push on games, things like that, and has essentially backpedaled on that over the years. Like they originally had, I think, 12 live service projects in the works. The only one that saw true light and was a, like, I guess a one hit or just a hit is Helldivers 2, which is awesome because like it's a good game and it does it right in my opinion with a lot of things. But Concord was a big flop, unfortunately. And then like even before those 2 came out, I believe they canceled 6 of those 12 live service games that were in development, right? They canceled 6. So we had 6 left, which included Helldivers 2, Concord, and then the Naughty Dog one, which got canceled, Last of Us Factions. That got canceled, thankfully, because the reports in that and stuff I was reading about in that is basically Naughty Dog would have had to put all their resources and time into that multiplayer live service game and couldn't really do what their bread and butter is, which is single player action games, action adventure type games. So they wouldn't have, unless Sony was like, well, hire more people so you can have 2 different teams, one for single player, one for multiplayer. I don't know, but I'm glad that got canceled, because if they are not going to be really good at doing that, and they weren't, because they're trying to get, I think at one point they were trying to get help from Bungie to help them out with it, because they're not a multiplayer focused dev studio, they're single player. So I'm glad that happened. Sounds like number 3, right? And then you got these 2, which have been canceled, which makes, I guess, 4 and 5. And then I think, or at least roughly 4 and 5. But this year we supposedly have Marathon from Bungie as the live service game coming out, and then Fair Games as well from another studio, Haven, I believe. So I don't know. It's roughly 12 altogether, but half got canceled, and then we got these other 6. But then you got like technically an extra one in there somewhere with either Fair Games or Marathon, one of them. So, and we don't know how those are going to do. Those are most likely going to release at a $40 price point, because I remember they said they're going to try and do that. Well, they did with Concord, but they got to do some better internal testing, things like that, before they release them. Personally, if they really want to do well with those games, they need to release them free to play. Either free to play or less than $40, maybe $20. I don't know. Or just free to play. They need to learn from Marvel Rivals and other either hero shooters or other games are doing similar things, possibly. But Fair Games, I know it's gonna be like a heist game, something like, I think, Payday. So maybe not free to play with that one. Marathon, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe Battle Royale. I don't know. I think that might be Battle Royale. But it's interesting here. Let's actually go to Bloomberg as far as if there's any more details. So Sony Bend Studio, the Texas-based Bluepoint games, were both live service projects they were working on. They both got canceled. Company spokesperson confirmed the cancellations in a statement. So we just know Bluepoint is working on a live service God of War. Bend Studio, I'm not sure, but at least it says here neither studio will be shuttered. Bend and Bluepoint are highly accomplished teams who are valued members of the PlayStation Studios family. and we are working closely with each studio to determine what are the next projects, spokesperson said. So, and as mentioned before, this kind of goes over like last few years, PlayStation invested in big live service games, things like that. I mean, we're essentially feeling the aftermath still of Jim Ryan, the former CEO, who had these plans in mind, things like that, trying to get all these live service games out there. But now that I guess the new CEOs or co-CEOs and other people, other high ups, things like that, were like, no, this is not a good plan. I guess the whole idea is that, you know, when the whole pandemic stuff happened, a lot of people were inside playing games and other stuff, whatever. So Jim Ryan was like, oh, well, let's keep them occupied by having all these live service games that they can play and, you know, be invested in and things like that. Well, that was short-sighted because the pandemic obviously ended for the most part after a few years, and life essentially kind of got back to normal. And so this is this poor strategy, short-sightedness, and poor management. Sadly, you know, only Helldivers 2 is a hit, and then even then, this is a sort of a classic story or telling of like, well, let's just throw a lot of money at it and hope something lands, whatever. I mean, Microsoft is known for doing this, or has been doing this for like the past decade, where they'll throw a lot of money at certain projects and hoping something lands. And Sony apparently is making the same mistake, or has. And yeah, you unfortunately are not going to get that. There's going to, like, even with live service games, there's only going to maybe be a few at best that are really like hits that are going to actually be standouts and last. Concord flopped, like, hard. That was probably arguably the worst game of 2024. Yeah. And so, not sure what. Apparently, it looks like here there are several other live service games over the last few years that were canceled, including one based on a Spider-Man. Wow, there was a Spider-Man live service game at one point too. Jeez. Sony didn't say if the cancellations will lead to job cuts. In a memo, the staff reviewed by Bloomberg, company says it's working closely with Ben. So yeah, no, as far as we know right now, that these studios will not be closed down. No job cuts, no layoffs. I hope. So we'll have to wait and see. But this is definitely a big hit to Sony, as far as like they invested all this money, millions of dollars, and now it's just been wasted. And so they got to figure out how to recoup that, change up their strategy, things like that. This is wild, man. This is wild. It's just like, what the hell are you doing, Sony? Like, poor management, and then we don't really have a competitor anymore that's on the same level as them to keep them in check and keep them, you know, motivated and making good games for us. Xbox essentially has been over the knee or whatever the heck, and just like letting their games go to their platform. So it sucks. It sucks. We need someone to step up. Maybe Microsoft can come back one day and be that. I don't know. I don't see it happening anytime soon, because Sony's kind of at the top of the hill right now, king of the hill right now, in terms of like not really having any competition. They're kind of doing what the heck they want, and it's unfortunate. So as far as consoles go, we only got Microsoft and Sony as, you know, the top two. Nintendo's doing their own thing, you know, on their own island, doing their own thing, still doing good business-wise, things like that. They don't care about competing with Sony and Microsoft all that much. Heck, they're, from a business point of view, they're kind of buddy with Microsoft and have been for years. So, yeah. I don't know what's going to happen this year in the future. Hopefully, PlayStation learns from this, but doubt it. I don't know, because heck, they keep raising prices for certain things like subscriptions, not learning, and not realizing it's anti-consumer, and all that other stuff. So I don't know, man. I don't know. And then they want to supposedly still keep with the strategy of like, oh, well, our single player narrative games will release day one on our console, then go to PC like 2 years later, right? And then their multiplayer games will be day one on PC and console. Let's see if they still do that strategy or not after all this just happened. We'll have to pay attention. We got quite a bit coming out this year. We got Ghost of Yotei, Marathon, Fair Games. I'm trying to think some other ones that might be coming out as like exclusives, but off the top of my head, that's what I can think of. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below about this, guys. It's just, what the hell is Sony doing? They need to do better. I want them to do better as a company and business as far as making better decisions for themselves as well as for us, the gamers, consumers too. But what do you guys think about this? Sound off in the comments below. This is just what the hell, man. So yeah, industry is crazy right now, and it's not looking too good for certain things. I just want to be better.